guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video. Today's video is featuring some products from Picket Fence Studios. I am using Kindred Kendall Stamps and Dies, the Happy Paws. This is a new set from Yuzu Nook. Super excited about this. The Bakery, and I also showed you the Flower Shop. These are older sets, but we're going to talk about how we can incorporate them. And then I also wanted to share this set, which is... it's a freebie, at least for the next 3 days through January 13th, that when you buy the Happy Paws set from Yuzu, from that line, then you'll also get that one free, which is amazing. And even like the coordinating dies aren't free, but they have them if you want to purchase them as well. They also have a little flash deal going on right now for the, what are they called? A2 scene building rectangles. So there's 3 that they have. If you buy one, you get the other 2 free. So that's another little promotion that they have going on as well. So let's talk about what I'm doing. When I am incorporating things into a scene that maybe don't necessarily go together, we are using 3 different stamp sets and different dies in this set. I like to go in with just a scrap piece, and usually I use Distress ink, and the reason I use Distress ink is because it's easy to clean up. And I stamp all of my elements where I want them to go in different colors. And this shows me like what I need to, especially if I'm doing a masking scene, this shows me so the Kindred Kendall and her little group of doggies and cats are right up front. So anything that's stamped in blue there, I need to stamp that first if I was masking. And so this just shows me how everything will kind of fit together and can be really helpful if you are a person who needs the visual to make your scene kind of come to life. So the whole time that I have been thinking about this card, like my idea was like these little shops on the street with like a little sidewalk and like the little street in between and like a little grassy area that she could sit with her little puppies and kitties right up front, and then the street scene would be like supporting. So I ended up going with the grassy hill. That's how I'm going to that's what I'm going to put her on. You could just mask it. If you don't want to do it with the dies, that would be fine. But doing that kind of precursor and stamping them all out helps me, especially if I'm doing a 1-layer scene, to know what to mask. But also then I know what it's going to look like. So when I go in and I stamp it with my black ink, which is what you see me doing now. This is the Bakery. This is part of their, Picket Fence has a whole line of like little shops and stores or little scenes that are already put together. So there's the floral shop, the bakery. I did one with, what was it called? Gathering Together, the Gathering Kitchen, something like that. I'll link it at the end, where it was like a whole scene that's already put together and all you have to do is color it. It's kind of like making your own coloring book page, which honestly, like when I'm stressed out and all I want to do is color, I find really, really helpful. So then from there, I know there are other elements that I am going to stamp and die cut to incorporate into my scene. And so I am stamping these on a piece of just Neenah 80-pound solar white cardstock. These will be stamped and then die cut out. And this is, like I said, the Happy Paws. And this is, I'm so terrible. I'm so terribly cheap. Since I did my stamping for my scene on Neenah 80-pound, I didn't want to waste it. So I'm cutting my grass out of the pre-stamped version. I also wanted to, in the set, for like the store that has all the little animals, I wanted to stamp the Happy Paws in the bone for like the name of the store. It's Happy Paws. It's very cute. I have enjoyed her images that she has produced for other companies, like building different scenes with them. And so I'm very excited to have her here with Picket Fence so that I can continue to enjoy building scenes with all of her super cute little guys. So here, this is some Neenah Eclipse, and I am using it to mask, but this is only for my ink blending. So I did cut it with my paper cutter so that I would have a straight edge for my horizon. And then from there, I could have stamped the bakery like scene, like the two little edges. I could have stamped them again, but honestly, I had already cleaned them up and put them away before I realized that I needed to mask them from the sky color. So I pretty much just traced them with a pencil and was like, it's close enough. I knew I wasn't going to get right up on them. Like I was going to be more doing like a V of the sky. So I figured this would be close enough. And it was. It worked just fine. I had no issues. So sometimes it's okay to just cheat a little. Like it's all right. And this one I did at an angle so that it left like this little triangle at the bottom. So I just filled that in with an extra one. In order to figure out where to draw my hill, I just laid my my grass die cut down there and just marked where the furthest point down for the grasses were, and then made sure that my hill came up to at least that line. Once I have that, I can go in and trim that out with some scissors. And then this way I can put in the masks that I need. So I'm going to put down my horizon line first, and then I will put down the little grassy knoll area. And now I can start going in with my ink blending. This is sped up because we are fitting in. This is quite the scene to be fitting into one video. But I try to leave in as much as I possibly can. So here, just very soft ink blending with our blending brushes with the Salvage Patina, then moving into Salty Ocean, and then finally Blueprint Sketch. And this is just going to give us a little blue sky, maybe the illusion of some clouds, kind of with that halo around our buildings. And you have to also remember that there is a third building that is going to go in here. So we'll only be able to see bits and pieces of this anyway. So if it's not perfect, don't sweat it. Then I took off the horizon line portion and then just flipped it upside down. You can run into trouble with this sticking. So sometimes I do use a piece of like low tack tape just to hold my masking tape, my masking paper in place, and I just wrap it around the back. So then I used hickory smoke to do where the sidewalk and the street will be, and then I did the green hill on the card the same way I did the green grassy die cut. And this is to show you, one, that if you don't have the grassy die cut, this is how you could still make this card. Without that die cut, you could do it just as a flat grassy hill. Like you could still do that. And also, so my edges match up. So when I put my die cut on top of that grassy hill, it's going to be the same color green because I've done the same thing for the ink blending on both of them. I chose the yellow green because it was like bright, fun, and happy, which, I mean, who wouldn't be happy about going to see a bunch of cute little puppies and kitties? So I wanted something that was really going to be kind of like bright and fun, which is also why I chose, for the majority of it, primary colors. That does have a tendency to lead, to like give the feeling of more like bright, celebratory, fun, kind of colors. So here I'm removing all of the masks that we have in place and just seeing what it looks like with the grasses there. And then we're going to go in and start detailing out the scene. So I have a, what is this? This is a T-square. That's what it is. It's a T-square ruler. And I have a very light gray. I think this is C1. And so I am using that to put in the lines for my sidewalk. So I'm going to add a little bit of shading underneath the items that are going to be on the shading or underneath the onto the sidewalk, shading underneath those items. And then here, what I'm doing is I'm putting in the curb. So like that curb is going to be dark where it meets the street, and it's going to have a little bit of shadow where it's like leading up to the sidewalk. And then I kept this really light at this point. I can always go back in and make it darker, and spoiler alert, I do. But this is just giving me an idea of where all of my elements are going to be and where they're going to sit. So that way I can put them in their correct spot when I'm gluing them down. To me, because of the way that the trees look with the, like from the little bakery, this almost looks like if you were looking at the top of a hill, like you could just picture like a little car or something coming right up the top of the hill. And that might be a fun way to do something from a different perspective, but that's not what we're doing today. Here I am I'm adding the little grass blades to the grassy hill. I have a whole bunch of videos on how to do grasses, so I am speeding through this. Basically just darkest to lightest color, doing little flicks of color to get those in. I'm using the same greens for the trees and the bushes in the background, except for instead of doing flicking, I'm doing dots, doing just a series of dots. And that's going to help it give it some like leafy texture, but I did use those same 3 green colors. Now I am using my Olo markers. If you follow me on my channel, you know that that's something that I have told myself, like, I need to get more comfortable using these. It definitely makes the process longer for me right now because I don't know them in my mind, like the color combinations like I do with my Copics, but I'm never going to if I don't try. So here I am, putting them out there, trying to do it. And because I am not well versed with my Olos, like coming up with like skin tone combinations and things like that, I'm still working on it. So this brown was a little bit too dark. And then I went in with some other colors to kind of like blend them out. And those other colors ended up being too cool. So I didn't want to risk Kendall looking like a zombie because she had no color, like no pigment to her skin. So I am going to have to go back in, and that's what you can see me like thinking, about what I need to do here in order to add some warmth to her skin tone, but also to blend out that brown a little bit. And this is a game, even for me, this is a game of let's try it and see, because I'm not 100% positive how all the colors are going to work together or how warm or cool they are. So I was able to warm it up a little bit, and then I did add just a little bit of blush to her cheeks. In hindsight, I do wish that I would have gone a little bit darker with her shading on her skin tone, because in the final product, it kind of looks very one note. But that's okay. You live and you learn, and we don't know unless we try. So for her hair, I am using the same color combination that I use, which you'll see it shortly, that I'm using for kind of like the golden yellow. And when I have a lot going on in a scene, you guys have probably heard me say this before, but when I have a lot going on in a scene, I do try to repeat the same colors so that way it looks more harmonious and it doesn't look totally chaotic, like I just threw a bunch of colors at my card and everything kind of works really nicely together. Everything's just copacetic. That was a 90s song if you listen to alternative music. Very, very good. Was it 7 Mary 3? I think so. Moving on. Anywho, we're just going to go through, we'll, do the coloring. That is another thing that I love with this new introduction of Freckle Friends from Picket Fence. It's been a really long time since I've been able to color like people or do hair, because a lot of the companies that I was working for didn't really have those things. And so I always looked forward to like sales and things at other places, and then I would buy the stamps and then I wouldn't have any time to use them. I know you guys know that. I know you feel me on that sometimes you're just collecting and not using, but now I get to do both. Also, please forgive the what do they call that? The automatic focus on my camera. It was not good this time. It was very poor. I don't know why it was, but it was. So I colored her little dress blue to reflect that sky color and the colors that I'm going to use in the building, and also blue is my boyfriend. And so really I just kind of followed along the folds that are drawn in there to just add some shading. I only did, just that 3-color blend, and then I did the accents with the red because she does have that little heart on her dress, and then I did her collar red as well. So again, just, kind of repeating those same colors. So now we're going to move down to coloring the building because we're moving into like more of the neutral colors, and I'm using several of the neutral colors, with the stores and also with the dogs and cats. So I wanted to get the coloring down for the stores first, because yes, she is our focal point with her little doggies, but then the next thing that you're going to see is definitely these cute little pups and cat with this store. So I chose to do the majority of it neutrals, but then the accents are those same kind of primary colors. So yeah, like it's been a week. I can't believe that it's Friday already. I did spend time making this week, but making doesn't always turn into a video. So I'm glad to be able to get one up, and hopefully I'll be able to try to get another one up before the weekend. I do, Picket Fence does have a release coming up on the 14th. Their releases are always the 14th of the month. And so I will be trying to do a new video for their new release as well. So make sure, you check back on the 14th. They almost always have an Instagram hop too, which is really, really great inspiration to see a lot of the new stuff. Talking about the red. So I do wish that I had gone a little bit darker. Again, this is me not having a lot of experience with the Olos. I should have gone just a shade darker with my darkest color to really bump up that contrast. But this just goes to show you that even if you don't have a ton of contrast in everything, you can still have a very dimensional card. I think it's Sandy Allnock who I heard say, which is totally true, and she's very talented, that like you don't have to spend the time coloring in every single element super detailed. Your brain will kind of fill in the rest. But I am a completist, so I have a hard time doing that. Here I'm doing the window, like just kind of like the reflection in the window. I am gonna do like a little doggy in the window. How much is that doggy in the window? You know what I'm saying? But you wouldn't have to. You could just do the blue as if it was reflecting the sky and, get away with that. And that would totally be fine. For the trim on the window, the door, what else did I do? Oh, the little paw that's on the side. Like, what a fun little detail. You know what I mean? How it's got this little, like, side sign. I love that. This is so cute. I can just see how we will be using this over and over again, especially for our little puppies and kitties. Eric's aunt, Kathy, wonderful lady. She spends quite a bit of time with rescues. And so this one, like this type of card, I can just see being great for like her birthday card, or just like a great little thinking of you to kind of pop in the mail for Christmas every year. We always donate to her rescue so that like that is what she would prefer versus a gift. Just like with his great aunt, we always donate to, there's a shelter that helps people kind of get back on their feet, and we always donate to them because that is what she would prefer that we do. But we still give her a card to let her know we made the donation. So this one I will have to put in the Aunt Kathy pile for future. I always try to make her one with little furry friends on it. So, story time. Do we have any story time? I don't know. Oh, I do have kind of like a little short, because we only have just a little bit. So, I do have like a little short one. So there's a website. It's called Classmates. I don't know if you guys have ever been on it, but this was like before Facebook was really a thing, and you could see everybody's business from everybody that you ever knew ever in your whole entire life. You didn't have to just wait until you awkwardly ran into each other at a gas station 10 years after you graduated. But so before Facebook was a thing, Classmates was a thing, and you could join like your class year, which I did back then. And then they would, periodically send you little things like, oh, so-and-so remembers you, or, do you remember, so-and-so? Well, here's something that I have learned recently. Apparently, they have acquired some yearbooks. I don't know if they're purchasing them or if those companies just made the yearbooks available online. But they do have yearbooks that are online where you can go in and actually like flip through the pages. I highly recommend, if you would like to waste some time going down a rabbit hole of living your life prior to your current life, doing so. Because I took one look at my senior picture and I was like, who even is that? When did I ever look like that? That's crazy. But anyway, so I got an email from Classmates that said, we found you in this yearbook. Come tag yourself in this yearbook photo. And I was like, what? Like, what do they mean? Like, after the fact they found me in a yearbook photo. So I click on it, and like it takes me to the main page where I have to log in, and I do, and then it brings me up this page that says, is this you? But it's the full page. It's like a full page of pictures. And I'm like, this is really weird. Like, it looks like it's all men. Like, what is going on here? So then I click on it, and you can zoom in. Like, if you're looking at it on your phone, you can zoom in. And so I zoom in, and I very quickly realize that it is, in fact, an all-men's school. It's St. Ed's, where my father graduated from. And when I zoom in to see the picture that they wanted to tag of me, it is my dad's senior picture. It is my dad's senior picture in his yearbook from the 60s. That's how much I look like my father. How much I look like my father is some random program in a website that is almost completely obsolete because of Facebook thinks that they want to flag me in the photo as John because I look so much like my dad. So that was comical. I did laugh, and then I shared it with my mom and my sisters, who then, my sister, one of them, not the other, went down this rabbit hole of looking at all of the different pictures that she could find of herself and of friends, which is what I had originally done when I first learned about their yearbook. So it was very comical. I have not seen my dad. I imagine my mom shared it with him, but I have not seen my dad since then. If she has not shared it with him, I cannot wait to do so, because how funny. It just totally made me laugh. My whole life I've been told that I look like my father, that I act like my father, that my attitude, my delivery, my tone is like 100% my dad. So for random internet algorithms to be like, hey, John Jr., come take a look at this picture, I think that is hysterical. So anyway, I thought maybe you guys would enjoy that as well. So here we're just going through, we have colored the little kitties. I wanted to show you how to do like the little tiger stripes on the cat. We did one little black dog with white areas. That's how my little Emma looks by M&M. And then I colored the other one, the one that looks very similar to that, brown and white, which is another very common one for that breed, which looks very much like a boxer. And then we have what looks like a poodle, which we did the little stippling for. This one that I'm currently coloring looks like a spaniel, I would think, with those long, kind of thick ears. So I'm not going to show you the last couple of kitties because they are basically just reiterating those same things. One of them is black, which you saw me color the black dog, and then one of them is brown and white. So now that those are all colored up, I am going to cut them out with their coordinating dies. So I'm just going to hold that in place with some low-tack tape. And then we're going to go back to this part of the scene, the base level of the scene, and finish coloring these. Again, this is sped up a little bit. I don't color this fast. So the bakery, which is one, you'll have to let me know if you would like to see that one fully colored, because I think that that would be a super fun one to do. But here, I'm repeating the neutrals. So I'm using some cool grays to color the majority of it, and then its accent color is going to be red. So I'm coloring the polka dots red, the awning red as well. And then for the other side of it, now you can't even tell in this particular one that it's the left and the right-hand side of the same stamp. They look like two different elements, which is exactly what we want. So you don't have to have a bunch of different stamps. Sometimes you could just have one and it can help you kind of bring the whole scene together. And then, you know, some of the accessories I did do blue as well to tie them in. So the little flower pot I did blue. I know that one of the doggies that I'm going to put on the right-hand side, his bandana, I did blue. And then for the cups, I used a warm gray and then also the red and the gold. So keeping those same color schemes makes it nice and easy for everything to, again, look very flowy and like they all go together and they're very matchy-matchy, which I love. I love a matchy-matchy. I can't help it. So just, you know, when you have older stamps, like that bakery one is, you know, quite a bit older, that doesn't mean that you have you just use them in their entirety and they're just a one-trick pony. You could use them for lots of other things like this, like rounding out our whole street. So now that I have the coloring done for the other buildings and for my main focal point, I know that I can go in with the cool grays and make this darker, and it's going to help bump up that contrast and really bring them to life by adding those shadows. The only part I continued to leave very light is the side of that curb, because that's creating the dimension that I need to show two different levels. Once that coloring is done, then I've laid everything out and I am gluing them in a place. So I'm going to put all my little dogs and, well, my two dogs and my kitten into place. So that way I can just glue them to the store and then glue them all down as one piece. It just makes my life a little bit easier. I'm sure you could glue, you know, the happy paws down first and then go from there. I didn't. I went in reverse, but do whatever makes your life easier. So then I can put those down, and I am not a fan of the white outline. That is just me. So when I do scene cards, I do tend to go back in and color in that white outline so that it blends in with the background. You certainly don't have to do that, but it is something that I do that I think helps keep the whole card feeling like a scene. So here I am gluing down Kendall to her little grassy area across the street from Happy Paws. And then this whole area, you could glue flat, absolutely, but I am going to pop it up on foam because it's just going to add an element of interest after I put a little shadow underneath them that's just going to help ground them. That's the same reason why, like, I do the shadows underneath the benches, the dog and the cat on the sidewalk. Like, I've done shadows underneath all of those, so that they are a little bit more grounded. And then adding that foam tape. This is a lower profile foam tape, so it's not going to be too crazy, but it just gives us a little bit added something so that there is added dimension. And then I can just trim off the left and the right hand side, because that grassy knoll can be used in a portrait orientation like we're doing here, or it's large enough for a landscape or horizontal, which I really like. So cutting those off, and then again I went in and blended them into the background. For my sentiment, I went with the one that says "You are our favorite human." I think that fits for a lot of different things. Just a hello card, or, you know, you could put happy birthday on the inside, or a thank you, or, you know, any of those things. But in order to get it to kind of be a little bit more matchy without having to get out all of my inks, I just chose a lighter green and then used the same greens Olo markers that I did for the flicking. And then once you do want to give it a second to dry so that you don't have any areas that are sticking, hit it with your anti-static tool. And then I stamped my sentiment down twice in white pigment ink, used some white detail embossing powder, and then heated that until it was smooth. And then I can go ahead and use the coordinating die to cut that out. It is a little bit, like, the top of it is a little bit lighter, but I feel like that helps it kind of stand out a bit from the rest of the grasses. So it, like, blends, but it's not too much. Then I went ahead and glued that down. I added some shimmer to my elements, as well as some white highlights to, like, especially like the glass, on the little Happy Paws. And then I'm also going to add some glitter to, like, the little heart on her shirt. I added it to, like, the little bandanas and the Happy Paws sign. And then that's it. That's the whole card. So I hope that you will, I hope that you found some inspiration for building your scenes, that this was helpful to you. I hope that you can, maybe give yourself a little bit of grace to try something different, like I am with the Olos. And then don't forget that they have that giveaway, that freebie through the 13th. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time always, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.